Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Michelle. I'm a licensed hairstylist with over 20 plus years of experience. And on this channel, I use those 20 plus years of experience to help you have healthy, happy hair. So today's video is going to be all about hair treatments. So that can be anything from a deep conditioner, a protein treatment, a hair mask, moisturizing treatment, or a bond builder treatment. There are quite a few, so I'm going to go over the different types of treatments, how often you would use them, whether or not you even need to use them, and what would be some of the indicators that you need to use them on your hair. And I did also do a video on conditioners and the difference between the deep conditioners and regular conditioners, the regular rinse out conditioners and the leave-ins. And I'm going to leave a card to that video up here if you would like to go check those out. If you're confused as to what to use when, that is a video that you can check out for that. But today's video is going to focus on the deeper conditioning treatments and other treatments that you can put on your hair to really help get in there when your hair needs a little bit of extra help and even some damage repair. So what are the different types of treatments? So you have the bond building treatment, and then there are protein treatments. And a lot of times those are going to be marketed with something like strengthening, fortifying, repairing, something like that is usually on the packaging. And this is how you know that you're getting something that's got protein in it to help repair your hair, to help regain some of the strength and structure that you might have lost through chemical damage, or if your hair is just the type of hair that tends to need a little bit more protein and need a little extra help with the protein once in a while. And then of course you have the moisture or the hydrating types of deep conditioners, and these are probably the most common and most commonly used for drier hair types, and curly hair definitely falls into a drier hair type category. We just, as curly headed people, we have slightly more dry hair than what straight hair is going to be. That's not to say that straight hair can't be dry, it most definitely can, but curly hair tends to be a little bit drier. So now that I've talked about the different types of treatments that you would get in your hair, let's start off with bond builders. So what is a bond builder? A bond builder is something that rebuilds the disulfide bonds in your hair, which is what helps hold your strands of hair together. And these disulfide bonds can get broken through chemical damage. They can also be broken through mechanical damage. So if you're yanking on your hair, although if you snap your hair off, there is no putting it back together. It's gone. But if you're constantly, if you're brushing a little harsh on your hair and you're causing a little bit of damage every time that you do that, even if you're not breaking your hair off, you're still causing a little bit of damage there. So you can break the bonds that way. And then of course there's just the wear and tear on your hair of just the environment that you're surrounded with and anything in the water that could potentially harm your hair. So who would need to use a bond builder? So like I mentioned, anybody with chemically treated hair, anybody with heat damage hair, anybody with hair that's mechanically damaged, and pretty much almost anybody can benefit from a bond builder at some point in time. However, if you have generally healthy hair that is shiny and it's manageable and it doesn't really cause you any problems, and you don't have, and you're not putting chemicals and stuff into it, chances are you probably are not going to need to use a bond builder very often. You could probably go months without using a bond builder. Whereas somebody who has chemically treated hair, most especially if they have bleached hair, they're going to want to use a bond builder more frequently. And as far as how frequently you would use the bond builder, well, that kind of depends on your hair. Everything depends on your hair. I can't give you that recommendation through YouTube. I can't see your hair, I can't feel it. So I can't tell you how often you need to get it done, because you need to be able to feel your hair and assess it, or get a hairstylist's opinion on how often you would have to do that. So perhaps you go and get your hair bleached. They use the Olaplex system, the in-salon treatment while they were coloring your hair, and then they recommend that you get the bond number 3 to use at home, and then I would definitely use it as often as they say that you should use that on your hair. And you could most certainly alternate the bond builder with different types of treatments to help restore everything that your hair needs that it has lost through that coloring process. Okay, so now we come to like the protein treatments, and there are certainly masks and deep conditioners with a lot of protein in there, but there are also protein treatments. So I know one of them called Apogee, And it's something that was typically mostly used by professionals to help restore the protein after bleaching, after perming hair or relaxing the hair, to try to help restore the hair's health, most especially after bleaching. And you've got hair that's literally falling apart from the bleaching process. It's been used for that. It's highly concentrated type of protein that can help with that. And there are other in-salon protein treatments that get used in those instances as well. So yes, you have your professional protein treatments. I would highly recommend leaving the professional in-salon treatments to the professionals. Just because if your hair gets too full of protein, yeah, an easy fix is just to clarify it and get it off of there and condition your hair. However, if you don't do that right away, it can make your hair very brittle and it can start breaking. And it could start breaking before you get a chance to fix it. So you don't want that. So I would be careful with the in-salon protein treatments, or just leave them to the professionals who know how to use it and are using it when it's supposed to be used. So for your at-home treatments, I would definitely stick with like the hair masks and the deep conditioners that say strengthening, repairing, fortifying, like I mentioned before, and using those at home instead of trying to do a salon treatment at home. So these treatments, as suggested by the labeling that I mentioned, the fortifying, strengthening, and repairing, is they help provide the strength and structure to your hair so that your hair can hang on to moisture. Now, how often you need a protein treatment is going to be dependent, again, just like the bond builders, on your hair's needs. So if your hair is more damaged, you're probably going to need to use protein a little bit more frequently, so you can put that back in there, and you're probably going to want to alternate it with using moisture as well, because if your hair is damaged enough that it really needs the protein, it's also going to need moisture. If you have hair that is relatively healthy and you don't ever have any issues with it, then I would say you probably don't have to use protein treatments hardly at all, if ever. If your hair is the type of hair that seems to like some protein from time to time, you can certainly give it a little bit of a protein boost by using it. Again, if that's your type of hair and it only needs it from time to time, I would suggest that you not necessarily do it like once a week or whatever. You don't need to have a set schedule for these things. You kind of need to go by what your hair is telling you that it needs, what it feels like that it needs, and give it that at the time that it needs it. Okay, and so for the deep conditioning or the moisturizing or hydrating type of conditioners, so these are, just like the name would suggest, are really amped up on the moisture, more so than the regular conditioners, and will help give your hair, and they go a little bit deeper into the hair too. All of these treatments are something that goes deeper into your hair than a regular conditioner is going to, so it's kind of like your conditioner but on steroids, and goes a little deeper and does a little bit more and gives your hair a little bit more help. So that's what you're having here with the moisture. It's giving you some extra moisture just to give it a little bit more of a boost whenever it's needed. So you would use something like this whenever your hair feels a little bit drier. Definitely as the northern hemisphere heads into winter and a lot of people start experiencing drier climates because of that, now would be a good time to incorporate a little bit more moisture into your treatments, or if you're already using deep conditioners to add moisture to your hair, you might want to use it a little bit more often and then back off on it in the summer when it's a little bit more humid out. So again, this all depends on your hair and the conditioner of your hair and what it needs. Another good time to be using more moisture is when your hair feels like it actually has a little too much protein in it, which when it has too much protein in it, it might be a little bit stringy, it might be a little bit, feel kind of brittle and dry, it may even break like I mentioned before. So that would be a good time to use more moisturizing type treatments, is when your hair starts feeling like that. So for all of these things, how often you have to use them is really dependent on your specific hair's needs. And again, I wouldn't recommend just doing a set schedule and going by that schedule, because maybe one week you need to use a deep treatment twice that week, and maybe you can go for a whole month without ever having to use a treatment. It all depends on what your hair is feeling like and what it is telling you that it needs. So you need to listen to your hair. let your hair be your guide. Let it tell you what it's needing. If you stick to a schedule, just to stick to a schedule to make sure you're getting what your hair needs, you might actually over moisturize your hair, which is something that can happen. I talked about having too much protein. Well, you can also have too much moisture, which can lead to hygral fatigue, which can cause a lot of damage to your hair. And eventually your hair actually starts drying from the inside out. It seems kind of counterintuitive that that's what would happen, but that is what happens. And the only way that you can fix hygral fatigue is to cut it off. So you definitely don't want to go that route. And as far as how often to leave any of these treatments on your hair, follow the instructions on the package. These manufacturers put those times for you to leave it on your hair for a reason, because that is what they have tested works well for their conditioner to do what it's supposed to do. If you do any more than that and it's heavily moisturizing, you could wind up with hygral fatigue. Any more than that with a lot of protein on it, and you could wind up with too much protein in your hair. If you try to do it overnight, then you could end up with either one of these things, and on top of it, you could wind up with a fungal infection on your head because your head is warm, and if your hair is wet with the treatment on it and you're putting something over it to protect the treatment, to leave it sitting on there so it doesn't wind up all over your pillows and all over your sheets, then you're keeping this environment warm, and that word that a lot of people hate, including me, moist. I don't like that word. But you know what does like the word? Bacteria, yeast, and fungus. Those like moisture. They like warm, moist environments, and that is what you're providing when you put something on your head and leave your hair wet for a very long period of time. This is also why I tend not to like plopping all that much, just as an aside, because it just holds in moisture and warmth, and it's a breeding ground for all kinds of nasty things that can cause gross things on your scalp, and those gross things on your scalp can cause hair loss. And I don't think anybody really wants that. So please do not leave it on your head overnight. How long you're supposed to leave the treatments on your hair? You leave it in for as long as the manufacturer tells you to leave it in. You don't need to leave it in any longer than that. Do you need to use heat with it? Also, again, follow the instructions on the packaging. If it says to use heat, use heat. If it says not to use heat, don't use heat. Follow the instructions on the packaging. The reason why I keep harping on this a little bit here is because, like I said, the manufacturers who created this put that on there for a reason. That's what you need to do to get best results. If you use a product and you don't follow the instructions on the product and you don't get the results that you're looking for, you can no longer blame the manufacturer of that product, because that's on you. You were supposed to do it for as long as it told you to do it. If you took it upon yourself to try to do it any other way and you don't get those results, that's on you. So hopefully this video helped clear up any questions and confusions that you had surrounding hair treatments and deep conditioners. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you would like to see more content like this, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you know when my videos come out. If you'd like to leave me a comment, ask me any questions, or have any video suggestions, things that you'd like to see, or just like to say hi, please leave me a comment down below. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye.